This is part 2 of the homework video guide on powers with whole number exponents. And for this homework video guide, I guess we will start on question number 14, where we need to use the power of a power law to simplify. And the power of a power law just means you just multiply the powers together. So 2 times 2 is going to be 4, right? So this is really p to the power of 4. And I hope that's okay because it's really everything in the bracket that's being raised to the power of 2, right? So if you kind of break everything up into individual variables, you should get p to the power 4, right? So we can easily just multiply the powers there to get the answer quickly here. So this is h to the power 20. And you can always verify the answers by writing out like the individual steps like I did in the very first problem there. But for this homework video guide, just kind of speed things up, I'll just apply the power of a power law here. So the power times the power, so 4 times 3 is going to be 12. So b to the power 12 for that question there. Okay, let's move on to question number 15, and I need to state the value of x for each of the following. So one thing that I noticed on the left-hand side is that the bases are the same. And if the bases are the same, you're just adding the powers so that you get a result of 9, right? So if I add the powers, 3 plus x equals to the power on the right-hand side, which is 9, right? So in this case, x here should be a 6, right? So if x equals to 6, then that should satisfy the problem there. For the next one here, once again, the bases are the same. So what we're doing is we're adding the powers, so x and a 4. So if I add them, I get x plus 4 on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, the power there is going to be an 8, right? So if you think about this logically, this should be a 4, right? So 4 plus 4 gives you 8. So the answer there is 4. Okay. If we're dividing and if the bases are the same, we're subtracting the powers now. So x minus the 4, right? So here's my power x, and here's the other power. So since we're dividing, we subtract the powers, and then on the right-hand side, we should get a 12 here, right? So if you solve this equation there, what minus 4 gives you 12? So this should be a 16, right? 16 minus 4 should give you 12. Okay, let's keep on going here. Same thing, if you're dividing and the bases are the same, you are subtracting the powers, so 10 minus x equals to the power on the right hand side, which is a 2. So if you solve this equation here, this x value should be 8, right? So 10 minus 8 gives you 2. So the final answer there should be an 8. Okay, let's move on to letter E. And using the power to the power law there, so that's if you multiply that, 5 times x equals to this power over there, which is 15. So think about this, 5 times what will give you 15? Well, that means x has to be a 3, right? So 5 times 3 gives you 15. Same thing over here, using the power to power law here. So 7 times x, which is 7x, has to equal to the power on the right-hand side. And ask yourself, 7 times what will give you 7? That means x should be 1, right? 7 times 1 gives you 7. Okay, so that's it for that particular problem. And let's continue moving on with the rest of this homework video guide. Okay, for the next few questions here, I need to use the exponent laws to simplify. So moving on to question number 16C. So using the power to power law here, so 3 times 3 is going to be 9, so that's going to be t to the power of 9. Over here, I'm multiplying, right? So if you're multiplying, you need to add the powers. So t to the power of 3 plus 3, and that would be t to the power of 6. So a big difference between letters C and D for question number 16. So for 16C, the answer is t to the power 9, and for 16D, it's t to the power of 6. Okay, let's keep on going along here. So I think this problem here, I guess something got cut off here. I believe there's a 6 here. Okay, so if I go backwards here, that'll be a t to the power of 6. If I go backwards again, that'll be s to the power of 6. And then if I have this, it's really 2 to the power of 6. And 2 to the power of 6 there is going to be 64. And then we can add the variables. The variables just tag along there. All right, so 64 times s to the power of 6 times t to the power of 6. Okay, let's simplify on the next few questions here. Okay, so going backwards here again, so this is 17c, so this is 17c. If I go backwards here, I have c to the power of 4. If I go backwards there again, I get b to the power of 4. And then finally, there's a 3 and a 4, so that's really 3 to the power of 4. And 3 to the power of 4 is going to be 81, and then the variables and the powers can just tag along. So 81, b4, c4. Okay, moving on to letter E here. Since I have a power of 4 there and I have a negative variable inside the brackets, you might just want to write this as a repeated multiplication here so that you can determine whether the answer is positive or negative. Right away I see that there are an even number of negative signs, so the final answer will be positive. And since there's 4 variables of a times a times a times a is a to the power of 4. Okay, let's move on to letter F here. If I go backwards here again, that will be a q to the power of 4, and then this will be a p to the power of 4, and then I have this negative 1/3, all being raised to the power of 4. Okay, so now we've got to figure out what this negative 1/3 to the power of 4 is. So if you think about that, that's the same thing as negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 times negative 1/3. You'll notice that there's an even number of negative signs, so the final answer will be positive, and just multiply the bottom, so 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So if we compute all that, I believe we'll get 81 there, so 81 on the denominator, and then if you multiply the 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, you just have a 1 on the top, so 1 over 81, and then everything just tags along as p to the power 4 and q to the power 4. Okay, let's move on to letter H here. Well, the top is just x to the power 6. The bottom here, you just remember anything to the power 0 is just 1, right? So x to the power 6 divided by 1 is just x to the power 6. So that's it for question number 17H. Okay, let's keep on moving along here. Number 18 here. So a few more rapid fire exponent rules. So if you're dividing here, you just subtract the powers. So 7 is the power on the numerator, and the power on the denominator is also a 7. So this will be 7 minus 7 is 0. So y to the power 0, and y to the power 0 is just 1. Okay, so that's it for that particular question there. This one here for letter B, I would recommend writing this as a repeated multiplication there. 3, 4, and then maybe one more. So maybe think about this as a repeated multiplication, and this helps because you can clearly see that we have an odd number of negative signs, so the final answer will be negative. And then if I look at all the a variables, I mean there's 5 a variables, and if you multiply that all out, you get a to the power of 5. And then since you have 5 of these b variables, if you multiply that out, you get b to the power of 5. So negative a to the 5, b to the 5 for that question there. For letter C, if the bases are the same, m is the same, you just add the powers, right? So 6 plus 6, so this will be m to the power of 12. So hopefully by this case, you can take a look at all the rules and be able to just rapid fire this. So 0 times 3 is 0, and anything to the power of 0 is just a 1. Okay, so hopefully at this stage you're able to do these questions pretty quickly. If we're multiplying, if the bases are the same, we just add the numbers there. So 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. So this will be a c to the power of, is that c to the power of 18 there? Yeah, c to the power of 18. Okay. And for letter F here, maybe we can kind of think about this. So we have negative a to the power of 6. So if I go backwards here, this is a b to the power of 6. And then I really have this negative a to the power 6. So I'm kind of approaching this question a little bit differently from the previous ones there. So if we take a look at this, that's an even number of negative signs. So that's a to the power 6, and then the b to the power 6 just takes along. Okay, so that's it for letter F there. And for letter G, on the bottom there, you just add the 3 and the 5. So that's a to the power of 8. So 1 over a to the power of 8. That's it. Over here, the 2 remains, and then you can just distribute the 3 to the y, so y to the power 3 and x to the power 3. So there you go. There's your final answer for that particular question. Okay, let's keep on moving along here. I guess we're on question number 19 here, and for question number 19, we just need to identify where the mistake is, and when the bases are the same, you just add the powers. So 3 plus 4 is 7, right? And that clearly does not equal to 2 to the power of 12. Okay, so we're just adding the powers there. All right, so we're just trying to find the mistakes here. For letter B, using the power to power law there, so 3 times 2 is going to be 6, and that clearly does not equal to 4 to the power 9. So there's a mistake there. We are multiplying them. Over here, we would just add the 4 and the 5. So 4 plus 5 is 9. So 3 to the power 9, and that clearly does not equal to... That's not equal to 9 to the power 9. And then, so moving on here, you know, for the next question here, you really can't simplify this one at all. So for letter D here, 19D, there's nothing you can really do with this here. I mean, 3 to the power 2, I mean, that's going to be 9 times 2 to the power 3, which is 8, and that's going to be 72. And that clearly does not equal to 6 to the power 5. Okay. For letter E here, this one's a bit more interesting because we have this power 3 on the outside there. So if I go backwards there, I get B to the power 3, which matches that. If I go backwards there, I get A to the power of 6, which matches that. Now over here, there's a 3 and a negative 5, so it's really a negative 5 being raised to the power 3. And negative 5 to the power 3, if you think about this, this is negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, which is negative 125. And that will give me A to the power 6 and B to the power 3. So the mistake is right there, right? So it's negative 125, not negative 5. So these are all good questions here. And for letter F here, okay, so if we're multiplying the P and the P, so P times P is P squared, which gives me that. And then Q times Q is going to be Q squared, which gives me that. Now be careful here with the 1/2 times the 1/2, right? So numbers, 1/2 times 1/2 is going to be 1/4, right? So it's actually 1/4 here, and that clearly does not equal to the P squared, Q squared. Okay, so those are some of the mistakes that we found in question number 9. Okay, I think we might just have one more question to finish up this homework video, guys. So it's question number 22 here. So we need to find the value of n. So if we're multiplying and the bases are the same, you just add the powers, right? So the powers are just variables here. So n plus n plus n equals to a to the power 27. So when you add 3 numbers, they're exactly the same, you need to get 27, right? So those numbers have to be 9, right? So 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 9 is going to be 27, so n has to equal to 9. Okay, so that's it for this homework video guide.